You can watch the Rebuild movies and get Bandai's Evangelion figures at Amazon at the links in the description.
Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors. Steven here, and I'm rounding out my Evangelion reviews for at least just the moment. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Robot Spirits Eva Unit-02 and S-Type equipment. Yep, it's going to be the last Eva unit for right now that I'll be covering. Don't worry, there will be more Evangelion videos to come in the future, and this is going to be Asuka's unit, which in the original series, you know, it's got her mom in it, and I think we'll continue that trend of her being on the screen right now. And I do have to say, this is one feisty unit. We get a ton of accessories here for this release, and oh boy is that reflected in the price. An MSRP of $85. This is going to be the most expensive of the original 3 units that we saw on the screen. Ooh. Yeah, is it going to be worth the purchase? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not she's worth adding into your collection. If you've been following along with my Evangelion review so far, then you know very well that, generally speaking, they all look great. The minor quality control gripes that one may have may come from just not pinpoint precision paint application on things like the shoulder pads or even the little emblems that are going to be on the shoulders and the upper bicep area. But otherwise, the sculpt is fantastic, and even the areas where bare plastic is used, it's nice and matte, almost a satin-like finish that doesn't feel like it's going to go ahead and rub away over time, which is definitely something that we do not want to see. So I do have to give Bandai all of the props in the world that they were able to really knock these figures out of the park. All of them are really good, and I'm very happy to say that. Now, generally for this release, we do have some nice metallic green, eyes that are nice and applied well. No slop there, and the red is consistent throughout all of the parts of the figure. Generally, if you're a Unit 2 fan, then this figure should be rather nice on the eyes for you. You know, her pilot may be feisty and thinking that she's the best ever. Of course, I'm talking about Asuka. But quite frankly, Unit 2 is going to be average for the Eva units. But average is really freaking good. So what do we have? Head is going to be on a ball joint system that involves a ball joint, a hinge, and a swivel. So by normal, she can look in all sorts of different directions, up and down. And then we have a really freaky system with the neck. So yeah, Eva unit creepiness. Yep. Full there. We can get this unit to look around basically in any position you want, so no issues there. As I've already covered 2 times so far, this being the third, the shoulder pads, whatever you would call these, they plug in on a very small ball joint, and then there is going to be a rail system, if you will, for a swivel, so this way they can move around the shoulder joints, which is very good. So these are not going to block the articulation whatsoever. As you can, whoa, yeah, oh, well, there you go. Hey, I show it to you later, I'll show it to you now. So there you go. See, that ball joint then moves around. So I did not plug this in well enough, but hey, happy accidents while doing things kind of sort of unscripted. Look at that. Very easy to plug back into place. Okay, so shoulders are going to plug into the body on a ball joint, so we get nice movement. Obviously, we can spin the arm fully around. We are going to have elbow hinges, which, as you can see there, right away, the shoulder pad moves itself out of the way. We do have dedicated bicep swivels, which is fantastic. And as you'll see here for the elbow, we do have a peg that plugs into the bicep and a peg that plugs into the forearm. So we're going to have swivels there alongside single hinge movement. However, you may notice that the elbows do look a little extended there. Well, what you can do is you can actually move the elbows out a little bit. You can pull them out or you can push them back in. You just got to grip them and pull a little bit. And that allows you to make essentially, simulate double hinge movement instead of just single hinge, which is fantastic. The wrists are going to be your standard sort of SH figure art style. I know it's Robot Spirits, but even still, we are going to have a peg that plugs into the forearm, hinge at the actual ball here, and then a ball joint where the hands plug in. So you can do that, and then you have to turn in order to get the hands to do that. You can then also turn the hand to do all sorts of different movements. So yeah, normal movement, you pretty much know what to do if this is not your first figure. For the torso, we are going to have a joint up here, which allows her to move there. We're going to have a joint down here at the midsection, and then we're going to have a joint at the waist. I really didn't cover this in the other two units, but I would say more so maybe for here. Be mindful of paint scraping, but I've been manhandling these, and they've been fine. Okay. So hips, they are going to be SH Figuarts 1.0 style, and that they're going to be drop down. Rather tight, but it's fine. You can see, let's get those arms out of the way. Full spinneroonie around, no big deal. And then, as you can see, for splits, that is about as far out as they're really going to be able to go. Just by doing that, you can fiddle with them to get better range of movement, like twisting them and turning them, kind of like that. Yeah. Where the hips do plug into the thighs, there's going to be ball joint movement, so this way you can wiggle them a little bit, and of course they are going to give you swivels as well, which is good. Double hinge knees, which is fantastic, and then for these little doodads here on the shins that cover the knees, they do have hinges, so this way they get out of the way. Ankles are going to be pretty much unchanged with hinges for ankle rocker movement, hinges to move the feet forward and back, along with a toe hinge, and then we do have a guard that is going to be on a ball joint, so this way that moves as well and gets out of the way, so it doesn't block articulation. So yeah, these figures are fantastic when it comes to articulation, and realistically speaking, if you cannot strike a pose with one of these figures, that's user error. It's not on Bandai here. I don't really know what else they could have done to make these figures even better. Yeah. Oh, Jiminy Crickets. Okay, what all does she come with? Okay, so she is going to come with an array of hand parts. So basically we can use everything that you would want, 6 pairs in total. Umbilical cable, cord, whatever you would prefer to call that. We're going to get the Thunder Spear, the super electromagnetic crossbow. We're going to get the S-type equipment. So this way, when Unit 2 falls out of the sky, we can get her to stop. We are going to get 2 progressive knives and a little joint part. So this way, if you need to have her in a display on a Tamashii stage, you can do that. Though do take note, there is a hole in the back, so you don't have to use this for the umbilical cord. So this way, it just fits in just fine. So hand parts, we're going to see those all throughout this section. So let's get on right into it and take a look at some of these fine and dandy weapons. So first and foremost, Thunder Spear. Yep, pretty cool. What's interesting about this particular weapon is not only the really cool paint application, you're actually going to see just a little bit of silver there. The bayonet, I guess you might call it, the spiky thing, that is going to be a hinge. So this way it can fold back to resemble a pallet rifle. So if you don't want that funky looking gun, I don't know why you would not want that, you can get a more traditional look. So there you go. So she is going to come with 2 progressive knives, which are going to look a little bit different compared to your standard from some of the other units. But hey, we get 2 of them, so she can do all sorts of crazy acrobatic stuff in the air. And then the umbilical cable, or cord, whatever you would prefer to call it, plugs into the back just like the other 2 units. And very simple, nice, strong, bendy wire. And there's not really much else to stay there. It plugs into the Tamashii stage base that you may be using, so something to keep in mind for your display purposes. It just doesn't lead off into a little nothing like some of the older releases. Now, for the electromagnetic crossbow, very neat, nice looking, definitely intense. We have nice sculpt here, and what's cool is that the butt of the crossbow, or the stock, if you will, it actually folds up. Something to keep in mind, though, for this is that once it does, it's very difficult for her to hold onto it. So just something to really keep in mind. Now for the S-type equipment, so these are going to snap into the shoulder parts. You're going to have to pop those off. It's not really difficult to do. Just keep in mind that they're going to be small ball joints. You don't have to be super duper delicate, but you do have to be mindful that it's small. Okay, so once you do pop those out, you just got to put a little bit of force to pop the shoulder parts back in. Be mindful of the direction those little jet boosters are facing. And then the forearm parts, you just got to pop those off and then just slide the new parts in. And there we go. Nice and easy. So if you are a fan of Unit 2 and you really want some good accessories here, quite frankly, I think we get about just everything that we need. I would definitely have to say that I would really think that maybe a support stand would go the extra mile here, especially for the price tag. We have a character who's intended to be flying, but we don't really have a support stand to recreate her flying. So just something to keep in mind. Now, if you do need a support stand, you know I got a video to help you out to pick a support stand you just might need. And also effect parts. Check that out as well. Now we'll go ahead and wrap this up with a size comparison with units 0, 1, and 2. So this way you can see how big all these Ava units are going to be with some other figures you might just have on your shelf. Like I made mention before, they're all basically going to feature the same sculpt, so they're all going to be about the same height. But it's always good to get a good idea of how big they're going to be together, especially when they all pretty much move as one unit. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. This one is going to be very expensive, clocking in at about $85, and that is going to be a tough pill to swallow for some folks. However, Unit 2 is rather popular, and she does come with quite a few accessories that definitely help to increase that price tag. And generally speaking, you're going to be able to pose her in a whole bunch of different ways, and you get a whole bunch of different option parts to really help absorb the blow from that price tag. That being said, if you are paying attention to the prices on Amazon, maybe you will strike a deal for new. Just something to keep in mind. Fantastic figure, maybe not necessarily worth MSRP. If you do happen to get this one, even at an aftermarket price, however, you will be pleased.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.